Hello everyone, and welcome back to my ongoing series of Solidworks tutorials. Today I'm starting off with a blank canvas for a very specific reason, because I want to show you the 3D sketch. If we come up to our toolbar, you'll see right here that I'm in my Sketch tab, and all the way to the left of that is the Sketch button that we all know and love at this point. It's what we've used exclusively in every video in the series so far. But you will notice that there is a drop-down menu right there, just like there are on so many of the other buttons in this program. If I click that, I have the option of changing to a 3D sketch. Now you'll notice that when I clicked sketch, or a 3D sketch in this case, it did not ask me for a plane on which to start the sketch like it normally does. Instead, I can go up to any of the features that I would normally use to make my sketch: line, rectangle, circle, etc. And when I click the line, I want you to pay attention to the middle of the screen where it shows the origin icon. Right now it looks slightly askew, and when I click line, it changes to this, where you're obviously looking at the origin from an isometric point of view. Now I can come in here, and I've got this little XY pencil icon. I can click that. At this point my line is snapped to the origin point, but I can move it around in any of the planes. Every time I move, it changes orientation based on the last point that I chose, and you can see these yellow guidelines. That's where it will snap to for your cardinal directions as well as your 45. And you may or may not be able to see this, but from the end of my line and from my little pencil icon, you can see sort of two slightly darker yellow lines, mustard colored lines, that are going back to my yellow guidelines. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to snap to 45 degrees here and maybe go out to right about there. And when I click my center scroll wheel in the mouse, you can pan around and you can see that all of those were drawn on a single plane. Well, now I can come over here and I can snap 90 degrees away from that, or 45 degrees down from there, and you can really see where this is going. So let's say we had some funky little linkage and we needed to come back over this way. Now we are truly making an odd shape. Let's go into Smart Dimension and we'll start defining this sketch. We'll just put in some measurements that are kind of close to that. We'll make this 1.5 inches. These measurements certainly don't matter. I'll make this one 1.5 inches as well. I'm not trying to make this part or anything, I just want to show you what this will do. So like normal, I'm choosing nice round numbers. Now you can see I've got a ton of blue lines because I don't know where a lot of these points are in space to each other. I can go ahead and dimension angles just to make sure that they're correct. And tell you what, let's say I wanted that to be a 50-degree angle instead. Obviously I can go ahead and change it. Same deal with this little fella right here. That angle snapped to 135 degrees or 45 degrees depending on how you look at it. Let's say I wanted that to be 150. It changes a lot of things here. It can be a little difficult to get your sketch fully defined here because it's in 3 dimensions. So even though I have all of the lengths of every one of these lines in, and I've got the angles for the weird angles, I think it actually might want these angles as well. No, because that's making it driven. This is a pretty common error to get, and you get it when you try to dimension something that the program already considers to be defined. So basically it's saying the sketch is over-defined if you add this dimension. Gives you the option to make that dimension driven, meaning that it's kind of secondary to what's already there, or leave this dimension driving, meaning that it is the primary dimension that you want. I'm just going to say okay, make it driven. So obviously that is not the thing that's causing our our sketch to be underdefined. And at this point, I just have to kind of play around and see what it is. It's probably the origin to something like this. I don't know. Does that do anything? Oh, yes, that did. That changed all that stuff to be black. So it's probably something to do with these endpoints to the lines. I'm going to choose that fella. Does that do anything? Hey, look at that. Now everything's defined. Basically, it just didn't know where those 2 points were. So now, by the way, that one that was driven, you can see that it's kind of gray instead of black. You could easily choose that dimension and delete it, and it's not going to do anything to your sketch. So now we have a fully defined sketch. It looks like Frankenstein's monster out there, just sort of pieced out of everything. I'm going to make it look a little prettier, and then I'm going to do a cut sweep on it. So let's do a fillet in the corners, and maybe 1/8 of an inch. We'll see what that looks like. Like any fillet, I could choose the 2 lines that I want to fillet, like this, and it will add it. Or I can choose the point in between, and that is the way I'm going to do this. I think the 1/8 inch fillet is probably a little small, so let's change that to 1/4 inch. And yeah, you get a little preview there. Ooh, that makes it interesting. Spicy. Alright, now we've got fillets on everything. Let's see what this sketch looks like now. Looks pretty cool. Looks like some weird little linkage. So I will go ahead and click 3D Sketch to exit my sketch. And now we have a complete 3D sketch here over in the tree. I hit escape so that this wasn't highlighted anymore. Otherwise, when I hit sketch, it's going to want to go back to that 3D sketch. And I want to have regular sketch here. I'm going to choose a plane that will do what I want. There we go. I'm going to choose the right plane. And at the origin point, I'm going to draw a circle. Nice boring circle. There we go. Let's make that, let's go ahead and smart dimension that. And yeah, I'll tell you what, we'll make it 1/8 of an inch. Now you can see that my circle that I drew is right there at the end of my line, and this sets us up nicely for a sweep. So I'm going to come over here to Features. I'm going to choose Swept Boss Base. It's choosing the circular profile that I just drew as my sketch 1, and it's asking for what's the line that it's going to follow. We've done this in other videos. So when I click this line, it's going to choose the whole chain, and it's going to give us a little preview. Here we have our little linkage or bendy straw or whatever you want to think of that as. Let's say I wanted to edit that. Well, all of it is part of the sweep. So if I hit the caret icon here to the left, I can edit both my sketch, which is the circle. So I could go in there and edit that, say that it's a different diameter, for instance. And I could just click the dimension and type in a completely different dimension. So let's say 1875. There we go, we've changed our sketch, exit it. Now we have our cool little bend here, and this could be a linkage, of course, but let's say we wanted it to be a tube. Maybe we needed this to be a brake line or a pipe or the world's worst bendy straw. Let's go ahead and do another sketch, and just like any of the other things, we can choose a face, and I can draw a circle on this, or it could be a rectangle if I really wanted it to be. But it's going to be a circle in this case. I'll dimension that to, let's say, 150 thousandths. That's a nice little wall thickness there. And now I want to do a cut sweep all the way through this. If I go to Features tab, my swept cut is not active. I have to actually exit the sketch first. And now I can go to Features tab. I can choose Swept Cut. It's going to choose that last profile just like normal. And now for the curve, I want it to follow that same 3D sketch. So I can go to my tree, I can go to sweep 1 where my 3D sketch is, and I can choose 3D sketch. Now it gives our little preview, and it's going to basically cut this into a tube. And there we go. It's maybe not the world's worst bendy straw, but it is pretty weird. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you'd like to help make these videos, please consider supporting me over on Patreon, or now you can join as a YouTube member. As always, if you have any questions about this or any other SolidWorks or machining topic, leave those down in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. To take a moment because there is a giant tractor over in the field next door making a ton of noise.